started seeing people on TikTok talk about whatnot fabric hauls. And I'll be honest, at first it seemed kind of, I don't know, scammy. Welcome to Dulcie's Attic. My name is Alicia, and on this channel we talk all things quilting. I own a small quilting business in Missouri, and I give lots of tips and tricks about quilting as well as share projects. But today I wanted to talk about Whatnot. Now, Whatnot is a platform where sellers can sell pretty much anything and you can bid on it. And I started seeing people on TikTok talk about Whatnot fabric hauls. And I'll be honest, at first it seemed kind of, I don't know, scammy. And I wasn't really sure what to think of it. And then I had surgery and was laid up for several weeks and decided to check it out because I didn't really have a whole lot else to do. And so in this video, I wanted to share my experience with buying quite a bit of fabric from Whatnot over the last month or so, whether I think it's worth it as somebody who's been quilting for 15 years, what's the quality of the fabric like, how's the pricing, just share all of those details. So if you like that kind of content, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and let's get started. So just to kind of give you an idea of how Whatnot works, you go on the app and you tell the app what you're interested in. So they have all different kinds of categories. They have toys, trading cards, quilting supplies, pretty much everything under the sun, like I said. So when I signed up, I told the app that I am primarily interested in the craft and hobby selection. And so when I log in, it pretty much always shows me anybody who is doing a show at that time related to crafting supplies, and in particular fabric, because it knows me by now. There are a couple of particular sellers that I like to follow and purchase from because I've purchased from them several times and I've had a great experience with them. So I'll go ahead and link the names of those shops in the description box so that if you want to check out the app after this video and you're interested in that fabric or some of the fabrics that I'm showing you, you can check out those sellers. Now, when you get on the app, it'll show you a list of anybody who is currently selling live, and you can click and join that show. And in my experience, people that are selling fabric, they'll typically show a particular fabric and say, I'm gonna run a half a yard of this for whatever price they wanna start it at. And then if anybody's interested in that print, they can swipe where it says bid, and they can bid at that starting price. And then anybody else who's watching the show, if they also want whatever item is being shown, they can also swipe to bid, and the price will just keep increasing until nobody wants to continue to bid. These sellers do set their own times for bidding, so you'll have some sellers that will set a bid time of 10 seconds. Some people set it for 30 seconds. It just depends on the seller. So just to give you an idea of some of the fabrics that I have gotten from various sellers on Whatnot, this is my latest quilt, and it has various prints, and all of them came from different sellers on Whatnot. So I've got some geese and just some really pretty kind of pastel fabrics. I've already washed this quilt and bound it. It's completely done. All of the fabric is high quality. Some of it was name brand, some of it wasn't. But it all felt really high quality and it washed up totally fine. No, fabric bleeding or anything. One thing to be aware of with Whatnot is some sellers, and they do have to put a disclaimer, whether the fabric is brand new. Like, you'll have some sellers that are quilt shops, and so they're ordering fabric by the bolt and then they're cutting it for you and shipping it to you. So some sellers are selling fabric brand new. Some sellers are selling from their personal stashes. Some are going to estate sales and grabbing fabric. And so the description should say what the source of that fabric is. So just bear in mind that you really pay attention. If it's coming from an estate sale or like a storage facility that they purchased. You know, when you can purchase out of a storage unit, it might have been exposed to smoke or animals or insects or whatever. So just be aware of what you're buying, just like you would say through a buy-sell trade group. So my latest fabric haul from Whatnot, just to show you, I got this Riley Blake Thumbelina panel where you can make a fabric book for my daughter. And then I got this kind of whimsical, it's got foxes and mushrooms on it. And that was a half a yard. It's Enchanted Forest by Free Spirit. And then I got a half a yard of the Riley Blake Thumbelina in the blue colorway, a half a yard of the same fabric in the yellow colorway. And then I got kind of this cheater quilt, if you will. Same fabric line, the Thumbelina by Riley Blake. And it's a half a yard of that. So all said and done, it was 2 full yards of fabric and then I guess you would call it the panel to make the fabric book for the Thumbelina. And so all of that was more designer fabric, something that you would see in a quilt shop. And so I'm going to break down the cost, what I paid on Whatnot versus what I found it for online, so that we can look at the cost comparison to see if Whatnot is worth it. All right, so first up, we have the Thumbelina storybook that you can sew, and I just picked random websites to cost compare for this video. Most of them are online quilt stores or fabric stores. This one happens to be Miller's Dry Goods, which is a more popular shop that I hear referenced in a lot of quilting groups. So their price on the Thumbelina sewable storybook panel was $12.98. And before we go further, all of the cost comparisons that I'm doing here are going to be pre-tax, pre-shipping, just to kind of keep everything apples to apples. So $12.98 is what we're looking at here. And on Whatnot, I got it for $12, so I saved 98 cents. Next was the half yard cheater quilt here. Again, the Thumbelina line. And I found that through my favorite quilt store for $14.50 a yard. Now remember, I got a half yard of that, which this would be $7.25 for a half yard. And my price on Whatnot was $6 for half a yard. So for this, I saved $1.25. Next up was the half yard of this Free Spirit fabric. The cost on this quilting site was $13.98 a yard, which comes out to about $6.99 per half yard. So I saved 99 cents with Whatnot. For the Thumbelina in the yellow colorway, I found it for $15 a yard, which would make it $7.50 a yard through this Etsy seller. And I got it for $6 for half a yard, so that saved me $1.50 for both the yellow colorway and the blue colorway. So overall, my total savings was $6.22 compared to if I would have bought the same items online. So after looking at the cost, there's a couple of pros and cons to think about with Whatnot in terms of my own experience. And I am just speaking about fabric here. So if you are going on there for collectible items or other things that aren't fabric, you might have a different opinion. So for me, my pros with Whatnot were that I could find maybe discontinued fabric that's no longer in print or that's really hard to find. I think it's really fun to watch and see what sellers are going to put out next. You know, if I have some downtime, it's kind of fun to bid and look at what everybody has to offer. A lot of the sellers are really friendly, and so they'll engage with you in the comments and you kind of can have fun talking. The sellers that I have purchased from offer really fast shipping. I ordered something about 3 days ago on Saturday, so today's Tuesday, so one full business day ago, and it's already shipped out. Now, not all sellers are the same, but I do believe Whatnot has a policy where sellers have to ship within a certain amount of time. I can't remember what it is, but they also typically have a max shipping of $9.21 for up to 5 pounds. So if you're going to be buying quite a bit of fabric, that's a pretty affordable shipping price, because when you go to order fabric from any quilt store online, even if you're only ordering maybe a yard or two, sometimes that shipping cost is upwards of $6 or $7, and you didn't really order very much. So it's nice to have that max shipping on there as well. Another pro is that you come across fabrics that you might not have otherwise known about. I found a lot of things that, like these Riley Blake designs, which I think are actually from late last year, but I had no idea about them because I don't really follow the designers to see what collections are out. But it was kind of nice coming across those in the auctions so that I could snag them for a project for my baby girl. Some of the cons that I had were that I didn't really save all that much money. Yes, the bidding process can be kind of fun, but it can also be stressful. There's been times where certain fabric prints are offered and it's something that's really hard to find, or it was out of print and I really wanted it, but I was outbid. You also have to really kind of keep a running knowledge of approximately what different fabrics should be selling for retail so that you don't accidentally overpay. And it's not as simple as the seller showing on the screen what they're offering and then going to Google and typing in how much should this sell for, because a lot of times those bids are only 10 to 30 seconds long. And if you're not right there swiping and pressing bid, somebody's going to outbid you and you're going to run out of time. So you really have to keep up with the knowledge of what things are selling for. So overall, I've had a great experience with Whatnot. I haven't encountered any scams or any issues whatsoever. I have found several sellers that I really like, and pretty much anytime they're having a show, if I'm available to watch it, I'll at least tune in and take a look and see what they have. Honestly, most sellers that I've come across are selling pretty comparable to what your local quilt shop is probably selling fabric for, especially in the designer lines. So unless you're buying larger quantities of fabric where you can take advantage of that maximum shipping price, it might not really, the savings might not really offset what it would take for you to just go to your local quilt shop if you're not spending a fortune in gas to get there. But if you like to just tune in and kind of have fun watching and seeing what people have available, it doesn't hurt to look. Overall, I would recommend it if you're looking for unique fabrics and quality fabrics. Just know when you're tuning in what you're buying. Is it new fabric? Is it used fabric from a collection? Is it used fabric from an unknown source that they maybe picked up at an estate sale? And are you willing to take the risk of what condition it might be in? Just like with anything else, just know what you're purchasing ahead of time. If you're interested in checking it out, I do have a referral link in the description box. If you like this kind of commentary and all things quilting related, please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.